Hello and welcome back to the Starting 5 video series. My name's Adam Spencer. You can find me on Twitter at AdamSpencer4 or at SDS Basketball. We're going to have a lot of stuff for you this March. The madness is just getting started. In today's video, we're going to take a look at one reason why every team that's playing in the SEC tournament, sorry Auburn, can win the title. Let's start with Vanderbilt, a team that has for years been at the bottom of the SEC standings, but is trending a little bit slightly more upward under Jerry Stackhouse. The tournament's in Nashville, maybe that's why they can win. Home court advantage is no joke, especially when there's actually going to be some fans in the stands at the SEC tournament. Vanderbilt has some talent. If Scottie Pippen Jr. and Dylan Dessou are back, this is a team that can actually surprise a couple people and make a run in this tournament. Yes, it'll be difficult for them to make it all the way to the title game and win, but hey, a couple upsets here and there that can build some momentum for next year. Next, we come to South Carolina. It's been a long year for the Gamecocks. They've pulled off some nice upsets, but they also have not been consistent at all and have had a couple of different COVID breaks, and those COVID breaks have really affected this team's chemistry. But the reason that South Carolina can win it all is that they have Frank Martin as coach. No, this hasn't been one of his better teams, but hey, he still has a Final Four on his resume, and that's nothing to sneer at South Carolina. You can count on him to get his guys like Seventh Woods, AJ Lawson, Keyshawn Bryant playing well at the right time. Justin Minaya is another X factor, and if those guys get hot at the right time, this is a team that can beat anybody in this conference on any given night. The only problem is, can they string 4 or 5 nights together? Next up is Texas A&M. The Aggies just came off the entire month of February where they didn't play any games due to a COVID pause. It's been a rough year at A&M, but the one thing that they might have going for them is that the Aggies are kind of fresh. They haven't played that many games, so they don't have the wear and tear that the other teams have at this point in the season. Because as you go on in basketball, you just get achier and more pains every single day. Just look at Herb Jones at Alabama. He's still dealing with a back injury. So A&M doesn't have those problems, but I don't know how many of their guys actually had COVID, because at Baylor, they had 8 guys reportedly that had the virus itself. And you can tell that that takes a toll on teams' fitness. And A&M did look like it wore down a little bit late against Mississippi State recently. But if they can get that together, they're healthy, they're fresh, that could be a dangerous combination in Nashville. Next up is Mississippi State. The Bulldogs play good defense, but we all know that guards win in March. If you have a good backcourt, you can go really far in the NCAA tournament and your conference tournaments. And hey, the Bulldogs have DJ Stewart Jr. and Iverson Molinar. That's a deadly combo. If those guys are good in Nashville, they can pull off a couple upsets. They can make it to the final, and who knows, in any sort of final game, it's just a toss-up anyway. Next up is Georgia. The Bulldogs have shown plenty of firepower offensively, so if they can get hot, and I'm going to single out 2 guys, Justin Kier and KD Johnson, the freshman. If those 2 can carry this offense throughout the tournament, then this is a dangerous team. We already know Severe Wheeler is one of the best point guards, so he's going to be passing the ball all over the place in Nashville. But if those guys can hit shots at a consistent rate, especially from 3-point range, and that's something that Georgia has done in the past. This is a team that has a deep run to a tournament title as a low seed in its past, so it'll be interesting to watch the Bulldogs in Nashville. Next up, we have Kentucky. It's been a rough year for the Wildcats, but the one thing that gives me hope is that Isaiah Jackson, the talented freshman forward, is playing really well lately. He's looking like an NBA lottery pick. He's looking like a potential defensive player of the year. He's even got a nice mid-range jumper. So if he can continue to carry this team and he can play great on both ends of the court, the Kentucky Wildcats play great defense as a team. And if they can just get that going and Jackson is the ringleader, then this is a team that can absolutely make it to the final. We've seen it from Kentucky before. Kentucky is usually an elite program. They have great players this year too. They're just not gelling together. So if all that comes together, this is a team that can win the tournament, absolutely. Next up is Ole Miss. Ole Miss plays some of the best defense in the country. Just ask Mizzou. They have absolutely figured out the Tigers. They've beaten Tennessee in a slow, sluggish game. It's a dogfight to play the Rebels on any given night. So if they get some favorable draws, if let's say they get Kentucky in round 1, let's say they play a team like Mississippi State or a team like South Carolina, this is a team that can make it to the semifinals or the finals. And if they get a good draw there, anybody but Arkansas or potentially LSU, I think that they can win. This is a great defensive team. Next up is Tennessee. What a disappointing year for Tennessee. They entered the year with Final Four hopes, and it just hasn't come together for them. But if John Fulkerson gets hot, man, I mean, he's been really inconsistent this year. He scores 4 points in several games this year. That's just not like him. That wasn't the John Fulkerson that we saw last year. So if he gets hot and plays like the guy we know he can be, then Tennessee can absolutely win this tournament. They should be a number 1 or number 2 seed in this tournament, but they're not because of their struggles. But if they put it all together with Keon Johnson and Santiago Vescovi and Jaden Springer leading the way in the backcourt, this is a team that can be really dangerous in Nashville. Next up is LSU, and for the Tigers, it's really simple. If Darius Days is involved and active, they're gonna make a deep run in this tournament. They are 15-1 when he scores 10 or more points, and they're 0-7 when he either doesn't play or scores less than 10 points. Now that's a stat for you. If I'm Will Wade, if I'm the Tigers, I'm getting him involved early and often. He's a lights out shooter when he's going strong, and if he can continue to score 10 or more points in games, then the LSU Tigers are absolutely one of the best offensive teams in this entire conference. For Mizzou, the path is simple. They have the most veteran leadership on this team. They're full of guys who know what it takes to make a run in the tournament. Now, have they? No, but they know what it takes. They've been together for a long time. They're finally starting to shake off some rust after that big win at Florida on Wednesday night. So with Drew Smith, Jeremiah Tillman, Xavier Pinson, these guys know what's up. Mark Smith, Mitchell Smith, those guys are going to be playing big roles. Kobe Brown is coming on lately. Those guys are coming on strong lately. Konzo Martin's a great coach. They know what they're in for with a deep tournament run, and that could prove valuable. For Florida, the path to a title is all about Trey Mann. Trey Mann has been playing like a superstar lately, taking over the reins from Colin Castleton, who has still been very good in the post, but this is Trey Mann's team now. We already mentioned guards win in March. Trey Mann can lead this team to an SEC tournament title. And he's got some help from Tyree Appleby in the backcourt, who's one of the best alley-oop passers I've ever seen. Yes, this team's prone to letdowns, but if they can put together 3 or 4 good days in Nashville, they're going to win the title. They can beat Arkansas, they can beat Alabama. It's just a matter of bringing their A game on a consistent basis. Next up, we come to Arkansas. And for the Razorbacks, the path is simple. Just keep riding that momentum. There's no team in the country outside of Gonzaga that's hotter than Arkansas right now. They've won 7 straight entering Saturday's season finale, and they're frankly dominating opponents at this point. This is a different team when Justin Smith is fully healthy. Moses Moody is a great freshman, possibly the freshman of the year in the SEC. Devo Davis is stepping up strong. Just keep riding that momentum. And Eric Musselman, he might be tearing off his shirt in Nashville in the locker room with another title under his belt. We'll find out. Next, we come to Alabama. There's a lot of reasons that Alabama can win the tournament. They won the regular season title after all. But there are some key issues too. Is Herb Jones fully healthy? Can they get hot from 3? Well, that doesn't matter as much because Alabama's defense is elite. This is the number 3 defense in the country according to KenPom's rankings. The Tide just stifle you and suffocate you defensively, maybe even more so than a team like Ole Miss. Herb Jones is absolutely the leader of the defense, but these guys really communicate. They move. Alex Reese, Javon Quinterly at times. John Petty Jr. is an underrated defender. Jaden Shackelford gives his all on that end of the floor. And now that they have Jordan Bruner back in the mix, he's going to be a key rim protector for them in Nashville. Will it be enough to carry the Tide to the title and let them cut down the nets in Nashville? We'll find out next week.